Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address. Disclaimer time. This is where I tell everyone to lighten up. It's just a podcast. Trading is like that roller coaster at the amusement park. Thrilling, unpredictable, and potentially stomach-churning. What works for one person might leave another clutching their hat in the wind. Our hosts and guests, they're awesome, knowledgeable, full of insights, but we're not financial advisors. So don't rush to make any investment decisions based solely on our banter. Always consult with a professional or do your own research. Plus, let's face it, we like to have fun, laugh, enjoy the trading ride together. It's all in the name of good podcasting fun. So remember, take it easy, don't bet the farm, and keep your seatbelts on at all times. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome to the China Shop, home of the Band of Traders. Today we have something special for you. Instead of our usual content, we've decided to release the bonus stuff we recorded with Fleri and 2yrflipper. What you're about to hear is a mix of Q&A, some discussions, and even some live Globex bond trading for good measure. For reference, this was recorded on the evening of April 11th, a little after 8 p.m. Central. So grab a notebook, share it with your friends, and enjoy.
Okay, so now we're like offline for a second. All right, Fleri, hold on. We're kind of offline now. Our pants are off. We can take our shirts off.
No,
and
it's
be
still
naked
recording.
together.
Still recording.
We're not... Okay, well, don't use this part. But before we get forever into this, Jeff, first of all, dude, I appreciate you reaching back out to me on Twitter. I know that I didn't give you like a day and time to set up a call. I still want to talk on the phone at some point just to talk shop and kind of this adventure that I'm on. But when we did our podcast with you a while back, there was your clarity on where you pull the trigger and when you pull the trigger and what suits you and what you like, and just the confidence, but not arrogance, but just the confidence in like, this is my approach, this is what I do. That was probably one of the most beneficial things for me to get to observe someone put on display. And really, I don't know, man, it kind of, it reminded me of a time in my trading that I missed, because there was a point where I was super settled, super confident, and this is how we do it, this is what we do, and we go in here and kill it every day. And then the last, few months have been difficult with this being a real deal and like some of the pressures of all of that. And it reminded me, it just like flashed me back to that season for me. And something about that has just been really pivotal for my approach, dude. Like nothing's changed really about what I'm doing except my performance in a real positive way. And it's just that decisiveness and the idea that like we shoot our shot here and that's okay. Whatever happens, happens. The worst thing is we take a stop. So let's shoot our shot when we have our setup or the look we want. And I don't know. I just appreciate that. I appreciate you carrying yourself that way. And I have personally benefited just from getting to hear you talk.
Yeah.
And we trade completely differently.
Right?
I mean, we couldn't be more different, but it's just been cool. And I have traded some bonds since we started talking. And Fleri, you probably were sniffing out this bid today.
Fleri's been trading bonds as we're talking, I think.
Yeah, he has been trading bonds as we're talking. But I definitely scooped 24s today after we traded 20s. So we traded 20s. Came back in, I bought 24s and took them back to Asia low or Euro low 22 fives. And that felt like I just won the lottery. So that's on UB though.
If you're taking like this has been one of my. I didn't really. I stepped away after my Fed fund trade kind of hit pay dirt, and I took a couple days off because I've been on a rough stretch in the bonds. I'm not used to this volatility right now, and I'm kind of all over the board. So I kind of stepped away. I'm like, look, I can let this Fed fund play. I mean, that Fed fund play will carry me for 2-3 months. Like, I don't have to make any money. I mean, I don't. It's nobody's business what I had on. I'll tell you. I mean, I was short. I was short north of 250 Jan Fed funds. Not net short, but I had 250 on. I was short 50 outrights, and I was short 200, and I was long July, and I was long some Nove. But I knew, and what I lost in July, didn't parent. I mean, January just cooked the move. I mean, they moved way more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I nailed the trade, and I actually got out. I kind of pussied out on it. I really thought I saw something before CPI. I was watching a huge buyer on two. I'm like, motherfucker, we're gonna go. Like, I thought it was gonna come in. I'm like, I'm gonna get out. I kept the spreads on, but I got them outright, and I was like, I threw in. I was like, that cost me like $50K. I was like, son of a bitch. I mean, I still did okay.
That guy that came in, and didn't somebody come in and buy like 75,000 contracts?
In where not in the funds.
Not in the funds, but
I
thought it would have a pretty big effect on I mean, coming into the auction today, into the print yesterday. And they kind of got, I mean, who knows, somebody was wrong, right? Because somebody had to take the other side of the trade, but it was a big trade. It was the biggest trade in the funds.
There have been some really big trades going through in the block trades. Long time ago, I used to be able to do block trades. Those aren't fun because you have to provide the market. It's not fun.
Well, yeah, somebody had to fill 75,000 contracts.
Yeah, I used to get phone calls, and I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's just not my thing. Now, but yeah, the bonds just keep being bid up.
So if you don't mind, I'd love to ask you just like a real specific couple questions on like, from our last conversation, from what you've been sharing on Twitter, my already established sort of like look on order flow. I think we look at Delta probably pretty similarly. I've sent you some like trapped charts and things like that. So short of like the same general idea, I look at a Renko chart. I'm looking for like rotations, and like I'm looking to fade a rotation down, right? So I see an extended down rotation. I see the start of an up rotation. I'm looking at Delta. I'm looking to see if they soak. All these things. Blah 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 blah. Let's just say I see that there's an edge to the upside. I see that there's a bid coming in. What I've been doing is like, so right now they just had a big buyer come in that lifted 2 ticks in UB. So when I see a buyer come in, I'm looking at that price and I'm saying, okay, he just lifted 4s, 122.04. How many did he lift there? Like, did he just get like 2 off? Did we trade up there and only got 2 off? Or did we trade up there and we got like 50, 60 off? Because if we only got 2 off, I don't know if I want to lift it as well, right? So let's say we do 50 like the guy just did up there. And I want to lift 4s as well. So I lift 04s. And the last traded price is 04. So I'm waiting for that last traded price to go to 04. I just got filled, by the way. I wait for the last traded price to go to 04. I lift it. And now I'm looking for them to go to 05s. When last traded price goes to 05, I'm basically sliding my stop, which I keep about 2 ticks from entry. And I have an order that automatically, when we tick up to 05s, it sets it as a scratch. And I can kind of like sort of like negotiate that, like, because I think I believe this would be the second part of the question, that you can scratch from above or below the trade if you know what was going on below it. And I wouldn't even call that like letting a loser run. I would say it's like I have information that there was bids below, so I can also scratch this trade from below versus just scratch it from right here. So I guess the question would be like, that's sort of my version of a free look. Like I see them bidding 04s, they're hitting it. The last traded price is 04s. I'm going to lift it too. Boom, I lift 04s, and then the bidder comes in, he takes 05s, last traded price goes 05. I'm sliding my stop up to 04, and I'm looking to see which one fills first. I guess like the general idea is like, what is your thought on that approach to it? And this is all with order types, right? So I lift 04s. Once I lift 04s, my stop is 02 because I don't have, as good a commissions as you.
I got what you're doing on that. So you're basically going, so I just brought them up. So it just went offered. And as soon as it went offered, somebody came in and there was like 40, 41 or 31 on the bid. Now it's up to 86.
Right.
So what I get afraid of on that, you're going to lose an edge more. Like, again, I'm not familiar enough with the UB. Do you find you're getting yourself stopped too many times on that?
So with a 1-tick stop, yes. With a 2-tick stop, no. And so essentially like you said, every trade's either a 1-tick loss, a scratch, or a win, 1-tick win. I don't see where I get that opportunity, especially with the commissions that I have, to not give it 2 ticks to work. But I'm also being careful. So like I lifted 03s when I saw that there was a lack of selling into 02s when we traded 02s.
Okay.
So I lifted 03s knowing that there was bids and willing sellers in 04s. I lifted 03s knowing that there was previous activity into 04 and that there wasn't activity in 02. And so I'm willing to lift 03s, and then boom, we go 04. I slide up, and then when they were holding the bid at 04, I lifted 04s and went up. So I actually got 2 trades, 2 ticks, and now I've got a runner. But
I assume you saw, if you were on 05s there, you just got filled, right? I mean, somebody
correct.
just lifted, like,
Yep.
somebody just
300.
bought 384.
Yeah,
Now,
like
I watched that. As soon as I saw that lift, I would think 5 is going to be the high right here. I mean, they bought 384. I'm like, wait, how did that not go bid? Now, again, I'm not great here, like, because I'm looking at the bonds. The bonds didn't even touch the 10s on that lift. Somebody just lifted 384 at 05, and there's 76 there. I mean, you got your 05s, you're out already, so that's good. I mean, I'm just looking at it like there's no way I would think that was going bid. Like, as soon as I saw that 384, I'd want to sell there. I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong, but the second it happened, I was like, well, wait a second. How at this time at night, somebody lifted 380 in one shot and we didn't hold 5 bid?
And there's a passive seller up in this area. There's a passive seller for sure up in this area. But I guess so I get the idea of I would want to be selling there. The question would be here, like, so let's say right now last traded price is 04. There's only 9 on the offer. I could lift 04s. See, like right there, I could have lifted 04s.
You could have lifted the 04s there. They just want sellers. I mean, if you know that guy's there, like just me watching right there on that exchange, like I couldn't have gotten short 05s there because I saw the 384. I would have put in after the 384 lifted. It did not trade there again before it went 4 sellers. Now, in that exact scenario during the day in the bonds, what I would look at, if I watch that exact scenario trade out, I would be very aggressive selling 04s if I saw something going on to help me trigger. Like, that's exactly what I've been looking for. Like, I watched that lift at 05. The second it happened, I'm like, no, those aren't going bid. But just because they're not going bid doesn't mean I could have gotten 05s there. I never would have. And if I would have sold 4s, I would have been dead. But again, the bonds, they've got 200 on the bid and they just traded 500 into them. So I don't think they're going anywhere either right now. I'd probably want to be long 04s. I think you're probably right here. But as far as your question, like, I get what you're doing.
Yeah, more from an execution standpoint. Like, is that so? To me, I guess that's my definition of a free look. Like, I've got some version of an order flow
That's
edge,
a free look.
I believe, that says.
But that is a free look.
I see a buyer at 04s, and I have some either like timer information that we haven't down ticked and that they're going to keep going. I have levels higher, blah, 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 whatever. Or I have historical information. Like when I lifted 03s, I knew they had already been willing to buy 04s and that we had sellers that would fill my order. And so there's like a part of that of like, I want to take the free look when I know that that there's support below it and also that there's not selling below it. So I'm looking to enter when I've got basically support from basically the soak below. I've seen buyers lifting. I lift with them. And then when we tick up, I slide my stop up. But I give my stop about 2 ticks to work. And the follow-up would be this is, again, I believe that you can sort of scratch from a loss, right? So like in this case, let's say we lifted 04s and we're wrong. I think you could probably let it down tick to like 02s. And if they start selling heavy into 02s, yeah, okay, let's just take our 2 tick stop. But you can most likely get your scratch still at that 04 price because of all the activity that you've seen. And that's what I mean of like scratching from below the trade.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Like if you know that guy's coming in and doing that, like there's a 7, like that's a second 7-lot buy up here at 05. Like I'm just looking at this now. I don't think they're going to go 4 sellers. I think they're going to go 5 bid.
Yeah. And the last time they went 4, they only sold 2 and 5.
Right. I mean, though, like that's exactly they just lifted a bid. But that's the exact stuff I look for. Just, I mean, what you said is just such a huge edge there. Like you knew 04s.
And there we go.
You knew the 04s were, there's a buyer there. So yeah, I understand that. Like somebody's really, I mean, for this time at night, they're being pretty aggressive here.
Yeah, and they're right back into yesterday's or whatever today's cast session opening range.
Is this where we closed right here?
Well, it's not where we closed, but it's the open. It's where we opened.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I guess like that was sort of like the 2-part question is like my version of a free look is I believe that there's buyers. I also already have like I don't like to lift when I don't know if there was already someone above it because like if I'm lifting, I'm giving up a tick. Like I'm giving up a tick. I'm crossing the spread. I'm down 1 tick to start. And I don't know if that's the right way to approach it, but like that's the way I look at it is like I paid the spread and it's a 1 tick spread. I just paid double to get in. Like I believe not only we're going this tick that I just lifted, but we're going to the next tick. And so I have to believe that there's not only buyers that are willing to pay this tick that's still being traded, but also they have to fill me at the next one too. So in theory, every time I'm scalping, I'm saying I believe that there's enough buying that we're going to not only lift this price that I lifted, but the next price as well to fill me. And I don't like to do that, like in this example, without knowing. Like when we traded 06, we only traded 4. I don't want to lift 5s yet because I haven't seen any real excitement to lift 06.
Oh, see, I would have lifted 5s right there because the bonds just went 200 bid at 10.
I see that, and I just put my I put my ZB dom next to it after you said that.
Right. I mean, because I was literally just watching that, and I'm like, wow, these 5s seem light here. Like, what's going on with the 5s? And as soon as the 10s went bid, there was a lag. You easily could have bought the 05s there, but again, I see the same thing you. I'm not seeing anyone rushing to buy 6s right now. Like, that's concerning. It's like, wait, they did 2 lots there. Like, to me, right, the bid at 05 should be bigger. And, they smashed them back there. But, when I was watching it, I thought it was an easy grab at 05 to get long. And there's
and you would have been right from the spread perspective.
I mean, yeah.
But what good does that do you?
like you would have had to scratch right there because the 10 bid's already down to 113. I'm not seeing any urgency, anyone bidding the bonds, and we are going into 12s. I always think there's going to be some resistance there at 12, first time up.
And that's that beauty of like scratching, scratching a long from above or scratching a low from below, or a short from below is like, okay, I tried to lift 5s, there was no interest at 6s, and now we're back down like with a a spread from 4 to 5. Like I can just scratch down. like I'm good, right? Like, okay, I didn't see what I wanted to see. And look, I would have scratched, and now last traded price is 4s. And even if you didn't scratch, you can go, okay, well, we did a bunch of activity at 5s. I'll give this a little bit of room. Boom, now we're back up. All right, I'm going to try to scratch 5s. So, like, there's some ways that, like, I guess you can, like, sort of, like, balance taking a 2 or 3 tick stop on a 1 tick trade, given the information that you have. And I guess, like, how much risk do you take in that? Or are you just like, boom, they didn't lift 6s? Fuck this, I'm out, basically. Excuse my language, but
That's basically, well, I mean, that's more my approach. So, like right here, after we said it went 5 bid and it didn't trade 6s again, I would have hit the 5s. Mm-hmm. So I would actually be short sell. 5s right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Based on they took the 10 sellers in the bonds. Now, what I would not want to be is I wouldn't want to be resting on 05. Like if I missed it, I wouldn't be comfortable sitting on that 40 lot offer. I wouldn't want to be part of that because I don't know what I'd be comfortable being shorted right now. I would because I'd want to buy it, but I don't know what they're going to do with those bonds. They lifted them. I'd be out of my 05s here.
Yeah.
You know but I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be resting in that scenario because, I mean, they held. Wow, that 15. Okay, there are 2 15-lot hits. That makes 0 sense. Yeah. Like if I were there, I'd be like, because now the bonds just went bid. I don't get this night trade here at all.
And ZB spread on
ZB went up. Yeah, I would have sold 10s in the bond. Like this is almost making me want to trade, and I don't want to trade. I want to be short 10s in the bonds.
At least that means we're on to the right conversation. Yeah.
I know, right?
I want to be short 10s here in the bonds based on that.
I mean, that was kind of my big like conundrum of watching this is one, I have to sort of navigate this slightly differently because the 1 tick scratches sort of add up more for me. So in my opinion, I balance my lack of cheaper commissions by giving it 2 ticks on a stop and using my edge to make sure that I'm entering trades at a more advantageous area. I can't take as much risk and as many scratches. So I have to try to like really avoid scratches for the most part, unless I really feel like I'm wrong. But I think what you were saying is like when we uptick and we don't fill those 6s, like we only fill 4 at 6s, like that's just a scratch. Like you just got to kind of say, okay, this one didn't go, but it could have. I think that was like a big one for me that I was trying to figure out is like how, yeah, there's a lot of bids from like 1, 2, and 3. Like I could be long 4s and be offsides 2 or 3 ticks and probably still get a scratch here. And is it worth taking a 3 tick stop on a trade where I know I have a bunch of bids below, or do I just scratch and just like lift 3s and scratch and lift 2s? And it's kind of that like waiting number of trades versus like this particular opportunity, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, I got one.
Yeah, you're watching it. No, it's all good.
You made me put a trade on, and I'm like, all right.
See, there they go on the 6s. Yeah.
All right. We need to close the charts up, it sounds like. Otherwise.
I'm going to have to hop off, guys. But as much as I want to stay on here and chat, because now we're getting into the nitty gritty, but I'm leaving for Augusta on tomorrow.
Oh, my man. Enjoy, dude.
Yeah. So I
need rough life.
Yeah.
Well, dude, text me what holes you're on so I can look for you on TV.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. We usually sit at 16, so.
All right, brother.
That's a good hole.
But I'm going to jump off because I'm going to roll out of here.
Enjoy your trip. Enjoy it.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for your time tonight, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime. So when you do what flex rank, I use on the bonds, I have a flex ranko chart I have up. I use a 210 setting.
Same.
On it.
I think that's what a lot of the guys around here use, actually.
And I'll use that, and then I have a 15-minute chart up. I don't know. I like the 15-minute charts because that's what periods were on the floor. 7:20 to 7:30 was the B bracket, and then it's every 15 minutes with CD. So I always keep my charts at 15 minutes. I've been dabbling in a lot of stuff. Like I don't say everything I do because I don't want everyone to know everything I do, but like I got into I've been trying to spread the bonds versus the ultras of late. When I think the bonds hit a low, like the other day when that happened in the bonds, I actually took an ultra trade for 3 ticks. Not on any skill, just I put it on and it before I knew it, it jumped 2 ticks for me because I didn't have OCO set up there, and I was like, "Oh, that was nice."
Yeah, right. It's a little bonus.
Wow.
God damn, they just lifted 6 again.
This
That's
See, and
amazing.
it's ZB is telling the truth.
Yeah, when they hit that when they bid that 500 or 400 whatever it was, they came in strong. It looked like it was going to go sellers, and then there was 400 bid. I'm like, ooh, the ultras are going to run here.
Well, I mean, I've got some other work, but the highest delta that was put in from the previous or today's cash session is the 122.7 handle in UB. So it's a magnet. I mean, they're going to go back to that price.
Oh, is that what that was the highest?
Highest delta of the session was at 122.7.
I got to start keeping. This is all stuff I'm not good at, and I know it's easy. I'm just too lazy to do it. I rely on my memory.
You got
too
Sierra,
much.
right?
Yeah, I know you could put on like the previous days, and I know all that stuff. And I'm like, if I don't remember it, I don't really care because every day is different.
You also got to be
But
careful too about introducing new stuff. It sounds like you got everything the way you want it.
yeah, that's what I mean. Somebody showed me. He's like, hey, you could do this and this. I'm like, shit. I'm gonna be doing like 10 different things. Like,
Yeah.
I want to keep it kind of the same.
Yep. I get that.
I sent you on Twitter the 3 things that I look at, and
Oh, look at my.
the one that I find really interesting is like this. Like I have a footprint chart that's the bid and the ask footprint, but it only prints a new bar every time that you trade. Like the price moves 2 ticks. So what it shows me is like what was the volume done on the last downtick, rel the last uptick. So that's how I'm able to tell. Like you can kind of see the story of like, okay, when they downticked, like at the very far left of the picture I sent you, they only sold 2, and then we started upticking. So like I can kind of see like on the last downtick, on the last uptick, what was sort of the interest. And so that's one thing that I've been using like as a compliment almost to like, I know a lot of guys have that kind of stuff on the Dom, like you said, like last traded price. That's kind of my version of like a resetted last traded price. And then, again, my Ranko chart, and then the Delta footprint is based solely on that Ranko. So I want to see like in this rotation, where was the big buying and the big selling. And I think you've seen from some of the stuff I've sent you, like when they trap, like when these guys soak on some of those levels, they're really solid. So those are like that's like my areas of interest or some of those things like that. But where like I think I might know that there's an idea that we would see more selling or more buying, but like it's pretty interesting how you like to your point, you can literally just watch the price. Like just watch the price and what are they trying to do? Like what are they trying to do? From 01 basically to 02, there was a pretty big narrative that like they didn't want to go below, they didn't want to go offer like 121 at all. And since then, they've been trying to uptick up into this area. And I mean, they haven't done much in the 05, 06, but, or in 06 now, because they've done a bunch of 05, but like, it helps to have like a bigger picture and know all the other stuff. But like, do you really need to know much more than like, there's some guy who's like in the middle of the night here willing to like put 115 contracts into the offer at the high of the session? It's pretty interesting.
There's an iceberg there.
Soak in 06?
Yeah.
And again, remember 07 was the highest delta of
wow. Somebody just sold 48 into 05. Why? Okay, why? They just lifted. I know there's an iceberg there, but don't go nuts and sell 48 into the bid that has 350 on it.
See, so like I can see 48 on the last one, and now this one we only sold 1. So like this would be where I'm like, okay, maybe I want to lift 6s and see if I can get a free look at 7s, knowing that 7 was the high delta of the session.
See, that's where I'm a counter trend dude. I'd be wanting to sell for like, I'd want to be, my look right here is to get short sixes based on the fact that 7 was the high delta of the day.
Even
That's
with
how I would look at it. Like if it were like during the day, like I'd be like, all right, there's my high delta. I want to watch it go 6 bid and I want to see how it reacts to 7. If somebody's only doing like 1 and 2 trying to get that printout, that's when I'm going to smash
there it is. I was gonna say the 05s are showing like 350 on the bid. That discrepancy between the bid and the ask, that wouldn't scare you out from trying to lift 06 or
No.
Okay.
All right, so we got free look at 07.
But now I'm also looking here. We're at 12 in the bonds, so I'm looking at these 12s. All right, now what's going to happen here at 12? So I give up. To if they get above 14, then I think they're going to run to 22. These 12s hold. I think we go back down to 08 and 03.
See, so like here, I've got a free look at 07s, but last time they ticked down to 06, they only traded 7. So I'm not going to take the free look stop at 1 tick. I'm going to actually give it 2, and I'll scratch from below or scratch from above.
Yeah. You're getting a shot at it. There's 52 traded in there.
Yeah, so last down tick, they only sold 2. Now they sold 2 again. If they sell, like, say, more than, like, 10, I'll scratch from above. And I'll probably join you on taking 06s. It's so crazy. They just did 42. I mean, they did 60 up here, and I can't get filled. There's only
20 on the offer. You should get it here. There. Does that give you?
Nope.
What? Are you on a prop firm or are you trading a personal account?
No, this is...
That had to get you. Okay.
No, yeah, I got it filled there. So again, like the idea there is like, I think that there's going to be enough volume to fill me at 07, and I was right to not take a scratch at 06. So like I would have given that more room. And that's what I was kind of getting at of like, yeah, there's a scratch on the free look. Like we've traded through, I've lifted and we're trading above where I lifted. And now I can put my stop to break even. Like that's a pure scratch, but there's also like, I believe I can get this scratch at 06 from a couple of different angles.
Right. With the 2 tick stop, you can, if we tick down to like a tick below your entry, then you can try to fill it at 06 again and get out that way. And
in all fairness, I've had that go completely batshit wrong too. And,
right.
Like a four tick stop on something that would have been, a scratch or, BE trade or something like that. So.
All right. Well, we got anything else, or should we let Jeff get back to his family here?
Yeah. You guys do your thing.
I think we'll just hit the stop button if we're done here. This podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute financial or investment advice and should not be construed as such. The hosts, guests, and contributors of this podcast are not licensed financial advisors, brokers, or professionals. Any trading or investment decisions made based on the content of this podcast are solely at the listener's discretion and risk. Trading and investing in financial markets carry inherent risks, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Listeners should conduct their own research and seek advice from qualified financial professionals before making any financial decisions. The views, opinions, and information shared in this podcast are those of the individual contributors and do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of the podcast creators or associated organizations. Produced by China Shop Productions.